A major controversy is now erupting around President Donald Trump's Interior Department after a top official was allegedly caught on video discussing policy changes that critics say could directly benefit her own family's massive ranching empire. At the center of the storm is Karen Budd-Falen, Associate Deputy Secretary of the Interior, whose remarks during a Congressional Western Caucus event are now triggering calls for investigations, ethics reviews, and possible congressional action. The controversy exploded after footage from the event surfaced online and was later highlighted in a report by The Washington Post. Critics are accusing the Trump administration official of openly discussing grazing policies that could financially benefit ranching operations tied to her family, and they say the comments are shockingly brazen. According to The Washington Post, Budd-Falen spoke enthusiastically during the December event about changes to federal grazing regulations, even calling the issue closest to my heart. During the discussion, she reportedly described her involvement in shaping grazing policies tied to public lands managed by the federal government. That immediately raised eyebrows because Budd-Falen and her husband, rancher Frank Falen, reportedly own at least 5 cattle and ranching businesses in Nevada and Wyoming, each valued at more than $1 million. Financial disclosure forms reportedly show the family's operations use approximately 250,000 acres of federally supervised land for grazing. The revelation has now sparked accusations that a senior federal official may have helped shape policies affecting her own financial interests. The controversy deepened even further when Budd-Falen allegedly discussed efforts to relax restrictions on grazing access across public lands. According to reports from The Washington Post, she also referenced using an exemption tied to land connected to her husband in order to ease regulatory limits. During the same appearance, Budd-Falen reportedly vowed that every unused Bureau of Land Management allotment would eventually be leased, and argued that increased private grazing on public land could help fight wildfires. Critics, however, argue the bigger issue is whether someone directly connected to ranching businesses should have any influence at all over federal policies that could financially impact those same businesses. The fallout escalated after the Watchdog organization Campaign for Accountability announced plans to push for formal congressional investigations. Michelle Cuppersmith, executive director of the group, told The Washington Post the situation appeared quite brazen in terms of conflicts of interest. Cuppersmith argued that Budd-Falen was allegedly not even trying to hide it, accusing the official of openly discussing policies likely to benefit her own ranching operations. The group now reportedly plans to send letters demanding investigations by the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, as well as the House Natural Resources Committee. The explosive allegations are rapidly becoming one of the most talked-about ethics controversies tied to Trump-era government officials and alleged insider advantages. Even ethics experts are now weighing in. Richard Painter, who served as chief ethics lawyer during President George Bush's administration, warned that if Budd-Falen received federal grazing rights from the same agency where she shaped policy decisions, the situation could represent what he described to The Washington Post as a slam-dunk financial conflict of interest. Painter's comments intensified scrutiny because they came from a Republican ethics official rather than a political opponent from the Democratic Party. That bipartisan concern is now fueling demands for transparency regarding how federal land policies were developed under Trump's Interior Department leadership. Connecticut Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal has also entered the controversy, publicly calling for Congress to review Budd-Falen's actions. Blumenthal argued that the issue does not require expertise in land management to understand the apparent conflict. In comments reported by The Washington Post, the senator claimed that when Budd-Falen discussed helping private landowners, she was effectively talking about herself and her own family interests. Blumenthal's involvement signals that the controversy may now move beyond media headlines and into formal political investigations on Capitol Hill. The scandal is also reviving scrutiny over ethics waivers during Trump's first administration. Reports indicate that during Trump's earlier term in office, Budd-Falen received an ethics waiver allowing her family to retain ownership of their ranching holdings. However, that earlier arrangement reportedly restricted her from participating in discussions or policy work connected to grazing issues. Critics now point out that her current waiver reportedly allows her to work directly on grazing policy despite her family's enormous ranching interests. That distinction has become a major talking point online, with critics arguing the new arrangement creates massive potential for abuse or perceived favoritism. Despite the growing backlash, the Interior Department is strongly defending Budd-Falen. Department spokeswoman Aubrey Spada told The Washington Post that the official has complied and continues to comply with any and all legal requirements, ethical standards, and ethics guidelines connected to her role. Still, the controversy shows no signs of slowing down. With watchdog groups demanding investigations, lawmakers calling for reviews, and ethics experts warning about possible conflicts, pressure is mounting on the Trump administration to explain exactly how federal grazing policy decisions were made under Trump's Interior Department leadership. And as the viral video continues circulating online, the scandal is rapidly turning into yet another explosive ethics fight surrounding Trump-era government officials and alleged insider advantages.